We're going to take a quick break from these sort of more explaining videos and talk a little bit more about a subject that's related to data science. This subject is machine learning. I'm not quite sure if any of you are familiar with it, but what it does is it is an equation that learns. That's what it really is. It's not magical. It's not even that techie, really. It's a statistical concept where the equation just changes itself over time because it learns something. So you can test the data, you can test the algorithm that comes out of it, and you can feed that back into your model or your algorithm, and it can learn something from it, so it self-corrects. And that's something that computer science kind of helps out with. That's where we're kind of going with this, is that if we develop something that quote unquote learns and gets better and better with time, then eventually the accuracy will go very high up and the actual error will go down. But there are some limits, the biggest one being overfitting, which means that you've specified so much data and trained it so hard that it can't deal with new concepts. So the algorithm gets so specialized that if you throw something at it new, it just can't learn anymore. And that becomes a big problem. Your error rate starts going up and your accuracy goes down. But you can actually fix that by just training with different types of sets of data and never just letting it come down to getting so close to accuracy. You never actually want 100% accuracy in your algorithms, and the reason being is simply that you will eventually get to a point to where the algorithm just is so set in its ways that it cannot understand anything new. And so you go down in increments to where your errors get less and less and less and less, and you get close to zero errors, much as you possibly can, while still allowing for some wiggle room for you to actually learn new concepts. So that's basically what overfitting is, and that's a machine learning concept. Well, one of the easiest ways to learn machine learning is to understand a simple statistical analysis of what's called Markov tables. Markov tables just basically tell you the odds of something happening and then something happening after that based off of observation. And all it does is it changes those odds for each new observation. And that's a good point, is that observation is actually one of those data science-y terms that means basically your rows in your spreadsheets. So I know I'm going at this at a very high level, but that would be something to look into, is what's the difference between a feature and observation. These are all terms that you're going to find around the data science world and also in the machine learning world. But these concepts, let's say you're trying to predict the weather tomorrow. Well, a machine learning algorithm may or may not be your best answer for that, but you can try. It just takes past data to try to figure out what the prediction would be based off of learned behavior. So it just keeps going and going, and the more it learns, the more it learns, the more data it has, the better it gets, until it reaches that threshold to where it's nearly perfect. Now, again, we've talked about why perfect is not exactly desirable. However, you can see how this would be useful, an algorithm that kind of fixes itself over time. Now, that gets into concepts such as supervised learning versus unsupervised learning, what type of problem it's going to be, whether it's classification, which means you're trying to put something into a category, or if you're doing a regression, which is a form of mathematical prediction. But I like to think of as regressions as something that you might have heard of when you were in high school. I know I was taught line of best fit, and that basically is a linear regression, and it's actually a form of machine learning that you can do readily with the open source tools available. But anyway, I just wanted to go over a few concepts like that on machine learning, and then we'll continue on with talking a little bit more about how data science works in the next episode. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe using the buttons below. My name is Rusty Hayner, and I hope you've learned a lot today.